everything you love. Builder's Paradise, where low prices just got lower. Don't miss out. Shop now.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Talk That Get Results. I'm Webbo Herbert, and as per usual, we are here every Tuesday evening with something that at least we think is of community interest and or of some concern. And if you think that you have something which fits into that category, you'd like to find out how you can be a part of the program, well, why don't you drop us a line? Address it to the Let's Talk program in care of On Radio, PO Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis, or give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper. Write it down so that you're well organized, and when getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so that we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards. But we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. Thank you all again for joining us. Your voice in the community, Talk That Get Results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized, and when getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so we can accommodate as many of you as we can. But we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. You can also follow our live stream of this program on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio or YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio. Click subscribe. Thank you all again. Tonight, the Honorable Spencer Brand. Good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and a very pleasant good evening to my fellow panelists, and good evening to your hard-working staff here at Vaughan Radio. Good evening to all those who are listening to us at this time here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and certainly to those who are listening to us throughout the various territories in the Caribbean chain of islands. To those who are listening to us, in the continental United States and Canada and over the pond to Great Britain and those are the European countries. Certainly as far as Taiwan, certainly want to say a very pleasant good evening or good morning to them. We are indeed delighted to have this opportunity to once again be a part of this. Webbo, I want to thank you for the invitation. I know I've been away from this show for a few weeks. Quite a bit has been going on. So I am happy to be back after being off of the show for a few weeks. Webbo, I want to take this opportunity to offer my very deepest condolences to a number of families who are in mourning here on the island of Nevis. Some who would have lost a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, some acquaintance, or just a close friend. I hope that they can remember that individual with fond memory, and it's a road that I believe that all of us would have to take at some point, and I hope that while we reflect on these persons losing their loved one or their friend, that we ourselves can make the necessary preparation for that eventuality. Webbo, I want to offer congratulatory greetings or birthday greetings or anniversary greetings to all those who may be celebrating tonight, whether it's a birthday, a wedding anniversary, or some accomplishment in their life. I certainly hope that they are having a wonderful evening, and I hope that they can look upon this achievement or this milestone, certainly reflecting and look at perhaps where they've come from and where they are now, and perhaps where they might be headed. So I hope that they are having a very remarkable celebration tonight. Webbo, like I said, I want to thank you for this invitation, and I am indeed looking forward to a very robust discussion tonight.
Conrad Nair Liebert, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and good evening to your staff here at the Powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, to my colleagues. Pleasant good evening to you guys, and to all who is with us this evening by the various means. I want to say welcome to this wonderful program. Once again, we gather to discuss the issues affecting the people home and abroad. I always like to hail up my friends in the international circle, my friends in Toronto and Connecticut and Florida. I say good evening to you guys, and to all those who keep trying on an everyday basis to be a better person and to make our region, our little island, a better island. I say continue the hard works, and the passing of people within the community that have contributed. I always pay homage to such individuals, but I also want the people to wake up and live, and to aspire, and also to put your dreams to reality. Too many of us live a life that sometimes we are even dissatisfied with our own self, but I think we can do better if we aspire to do better. As I always tell my friends, when the will is strong enough, nature yields. So be strong in what you're on about going forward. And Webbo, I want to thank you once again for having me this evening. And I, just like Mr. Brand, look forward to a healthy discussion this evening. Thank you so much.
Roger Fifield, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and special good evening also to my fellow panelists, and of course good evening to all those who are listening and viewing via the various medias. Webbo, I want to thank you for the invitation yet again to be on this widely listened program. Webbo, I want to say a special good evening to all those who might be celebrating whether anniversaries or birthdays. Special good evening to you. Hope that you would have had a wonderful day and your night would even be a better one. Webbo, also I want to say a special good evening to all those who might be mourning at this point in time. We understand that death is something that would happen, it would come, but when it comes, it hits us differently, and all of us take it differently. So I just want to say to be strong for each other, for your friend, for your family. You have to build this strong support and allow God to be your pillow, your tower and your rock of strength. He is the only one that sees and knows all things that has gone and things to come. So we just like to say, just ask the Lord for strength and health. Webbo, I am looking forward to a fruitful discussion, and of course I want to invite those who are listening and viewing to be a part of this program. It is your program, it is our program. I want you to call in, ask questions, give suggestions. Of course we can learn something from you, and I know that you can also learn something from us. So I'm encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen, to call in and be a part of your program. Webbo, once again, I'm looking forward for a fruitful discussion as per usual, and thanks for the invitation.
So, well, thank you again, gentlemen. I want to say a very pleasant good evening to Ted Hopson. Hello, Ted. And indeed, using him to headline all the other folks who through the years have made such great contribution. And to say at this point that how grateful we are for the present, current staff and the past staff, because the evidence will show that they have done a superb job. And I like, and this mean no disrespect or anything, because I headline this group of people. I like to refer to them as simple, ordinary people, headed by me. So I'm the most simplest and the most ordinary of them all. And they do a super job. So I want to highlight them at this particular stage, and to point out and to encourage other persons who are doing a work, regardless to how big or small that work is, to do the best that you can. And do not get emotional and depressed by criticism, because that is a part of it, and I dare say around this joint it is a very big part of it. So you got to stay the course. And so to all the folks who have supported us through the years, a big and hearty thank you. And those who have argued that we have kept the standard of what the nation and the world had expected from us. And so I don't take that lightly. Whatever form you make the contribution, we appreciate it. And I encourage you to continue doing so. As for me, I've learned tremendously. And I said to someone the other day that when I was growing up, I used to always wonder and think, because you know, every now and then I like to think, why is Nevis like how it is in comparison to the other islands? And day by day through the years, I'm finding out why. And at this critical juncture, I must say to us as a people, let's try and do better than we are doing. All right? Brian, you are shaking and nodding and all that. You want to add something to what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Webbo. Let me first of all start by wishing Von Radio happy belated 37th anniversary, celebrated last week. It happened that I was at this Transwater consultation last Tuesday, so hence my absence here. And I think, Webbo, that whenever the anniversary of Von Radio comes around, I always remember where I was. I was in that shop there in Stony Grove after leaving school a few months, and I was there working with a very nice and pleasant lady, Mrs. Shirley Howell of blessed memory, right there in the shop behind the counter, and everybody was waiting and expecting the great arrival of this remarkable and new invention to the island of Nevis, Von Radio. And that was where I heard Von Radio piercing the airwaves some 37 years ago. Well, I want to congratulate you, of course, the founding fathers of Von Radio, the many staff members who would have assisted in ensuring that under your leadership this institution has become it has become a permanent fixture in the lives of our people here on the island of Nevis, in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and certainly throughout the entire region. I believe that a lot of it has gone down as a result of your leadership, and I don't think that it is any small feat that after 37 years Von Radio is, in my mind, still the pinnacle, so to speak, in terms of what radio and what broadcasting in this region is all about and what other people seek to emulate. So I want to congratulate you, Webbo, on your 37th anniversary. I believe, just like anything else in life, I am certain that the road has not been easy. But I believe that you and the founding fathers and mothers who would have contributed to this institution recognize the value of it to our people. I believe that it has been a good addition to the public discourse. I believe that it has perhaps allowed, as you say, Mr. Webbo, the ordinary folk. All of us, I believe, around the table are simple, ordinary folk based on our own upbringing. You know, Naya, young boy from Stony Grove on Government Road, Roger from Gingerland, Spencer from Stony Grove and Happy Hilalian have come and have sought to contribute to the development of our country on this platform. I believe, Webbo, that you have allowed us to be a part of what I call the process of nation building. I believe that you have allowed us this voice to speak with respect, and you have certainly set the bar extremely high. I remember when I came, you gave me the Von Radio doctrine, and I must admit that I had it as well from Albert Myers and Edrics Stanley and Ted Hopson. All of them sang from the same hymn sheet as to what was expected. So I want to congratulate you. I hope that Von Radio will continue to be this beacon of hope, this beacon of accurate information, this beacon where our people can come and express themselves. It doesn't matter their color, their creed, or whatever philosophical belief that they do have. There is this opportunity, and I think that I have been given that opportunity, and I think that our people, all of our people, also have that privilege. So, Webbo, congratulations, and I trust and I hope that Von Radio will be around for many, many, many more generations to come.
You know, in terms of democracy in the United States and what has been going on for the past few years, they said one of the founders of the democracy or the Democratic Society in the United States, and who wrote the Constitution as they were deliberating and stuff like that, one of them famously said, it is a good form of government if we can keep it. So I would borrow that in reference to the wish that you made to Von Radio. And the reason why I said that is because, as I said, it's not always been a smooth road. There were some bumps in the road which need not be, right? And I find that regardless to what institution or what area it is, our people must stop mash up things just for the sake of building them back, and get envious or grudge or whatever Edric used to call it, just because it's not them. So we have to be a little milder and kinder and more encouraging and stuff like that. Now, so you don't just wish everything into being or wish everything away. You have to put in the effort,
Yes.
and the work, right? And again, as I said, you know, some people, well, you know, a lot of people would headline myself because of my role, but the kind of, you know, management style that I do, everybody do their part, because it's not a one-man game. It's a team sport.
Team.
And from the time you start to misunderstand that and want it to be a one, you will fail. Everybody's got to play their part, and leadership is not easy. And sometimes you gotta go comic relief.
That's why you have the.
Read it.
Which one? That one?
Yeah, it passed the thing that we wouldn't use the expletive that Trump used. That's not allowed here. But
can you use this one?
Yeah, you can use that one.
I'm not.
No,
sure.
you don't want to use it.
No. The sign said those damn cowboys and clowns.
Yeah, they are good. They are all right. If I feel you wanted to say something.
Webbo, just to say congratulations again to you and your radio station. I particularly liked Webbo, the flashbacks. You know, it brought back memories. You know, and some of the flashbacks, you know, I didn't recall readily until, you know, it went into maybe 2-3 minutes. You know, and I really appreciated it, Webbo. I think for many of the younger ones, they don't know what the flashbacks are really. They can't relate to them. But some of us who are a little older, you know, really, like myself, I really appreciated it. And I believe that, you know, with the reminder to remind us where we came from to where we are now, you know, I believe that it's a really good thing. You know, I can recall sometime last week there was an interview, I think, with former Prime Minister Douglas. I listened keenly. I thought that it was really interesting, and you know what happened in terms of the Commission of Inquiry and stuff like that, and you know the way he answered the questions about the financing and other questions, and you know about a former minister and you know the amnesty and who got caught up and stuff like that, you know, after the amnesty and stuff like that. I thought that it was really, you know, to refresh the memory. I think that it was good, and there were so many others, you know, but that I think that it's really good. And maybe if I'm to make a suggestion, you know, maybe throughout, you know, all throughout, or maybe you want to make it unique, you know, I could just drop in a few flashbacks every now and then, you know, to jog our memories, you know. But I think that it's really good, Webbo.
Go ahead, finish up.
And again, Webbo, I know you would have described yourself as, and your staff, past and present, as ordinary. And I want to believe that.
By the way, the staff include you and Naya and Brandon, so you know that's how we operate. Notwithstanding you guys come and say thanks for the opportunity. That's how we roll, because all this is part of what we serve.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but when we look at your leadership style, you know, the type of person you are, you know, I mean, long before I came on this program, I know I would have met you in the past, and I would have said to you, you know, some persons would say all sort of negative and derogatory stuff about you, but I do not see you. I've never saw you in that light. You know, I always liked the way, and still like the way that you go about things, you know, how diplomatic you are. You know, I really like that, and I want to believe, well, I know that you would have brought that, you know, style into leadership, and I'm sure that persons who would have been around you or close to you in your employ, you know, would have learned much. You know, I've been around for a short while, and I have learned so much. You know, even the body language, the facial expression, you know, the words, the choice of words and stuff like that. You know, so I want to differ in my point of view and say that you are not just ordinary, but you are extraordinary. That's what I want to say in terms of you.
Help him.
The guy feel that after 29 minutes it's time for a light moment. Ben, you wanted to say something to him?
Naya,
go ahead.
Well, as I always say, you know, One Radio is the soundtrack of our life here on Island. If you remember what life was like before One Radio, then you would realize the importance of One Radios. So many people who have not from that generation. I mean, they came and Von Radio was on, and but there was that void before when Nevis didn't really have a voice. And as Mr. Brand, I think he has summed it up in pretty well in every respect. Creating this voice for the everyday people, creating this voice for Nevis when we needed it mostly. And once upon a time there was only a studio of the national radio station.
Naya, just let me take this. I'll come right back to you. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yes, good evening, guys. Calling from Satola here. My name is Jack.
Good evening.
I have to say congratulations to you, Webbo, for your work, for keep being a manager for Farm Radio. I know ain't no different. You're the Hobart. You're the Hobart, and all of them manage the same way. And the right thought about the station, that any political team can go on the station, just like down here in Satola. It's not who or who. Anybody want to pay money, you come do your show. So I say congratulations. I've been over at the station when I was up there, and you all have the same format, and you always see what people when they come around business. You uncle everybody. So congratulations. I hear listening to the show. So ain't no different for what them guys they're saying about you. Hobart is Hobart. All of them manages, and them is serious people come around business. So ain't no strange what they're telling you. He's a serious man. Just like Uncle Wagad and Uncle Wagad all the station down here. So good night, guys, man. I listening to the show.
Bless.
Good night.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Webbo, as I was saying, speaking of leaders, I think Von Radio have created so many leaders since its inception. We can't probably even count them on both hands. Public figures and private figures, and everyone given that opportunity to contribute to nation building, to contribute reasons and solutions to problems that we face. So many people have actually passed through Fun Radio and have elevated themselves to a position of leadership, not just in politics, but you can count a lot of them too, and I'm sure that would continue. And so I always think that not just a soundtrack of our life, but it seems to be something to which we will always behold going forward, generation to come, we hope, because of its importance in the past, its relevance today. I think it has the propensity to go on for a long time, so I congratulate Webbo and his style of leadership. I think something that endured for 37 years must have some very positive about it, and you're here and continue to prove that way about you, that I suppose lead to longevity. So I congratulate Von Radio once again. I congratulate the staff. I congratulate all those who have contributed to the Let's Talk program, who have made Von Radio what it is. I congratulate myself also, and so Webbo, continual congratulations. I think you have done the island justice. You have spread even the concept of justice, spread the concept of knowledge, the constitution. I mean, the radio have contributed in every aspect of life here on island, and we cannot speak of any area, I suppose, that Von Radio have not been impacted on, and I look forward to have Von Radio as a part of Nevis and its not just its history, but it's going forward. Continue your good works, Webbo. Thank you.
You know, I wanted to cross-examine something the caller said. You know, he said that what he likes about Von Radio is that all the political parties, everybody can come and so on, once they pay the money. So I wanted to ask him, so therefore, if you don't hear them,
Well, I guess that you know, one can deduce that, you know, because.
But maybe you could say that about me too. That most of the time I talk so simply, I only have to say half the things, and then the person knows the rest.
just like a preschool teacher, Webbo, you know, and from what I understand, you were indeed a teacher, so you know.
Not preschool.
Not.
Oh yeah, not preschool. Primary school,
but
and high school.
But when I say preschool, Webbo, what I'm trying to say is that you put over what you are saying, you know, in a way that persons could understand.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, persons should understand. Persons should understand. Let me put it that way. You know, as a teacher, well, I've never taught, but as a teacher, I believe that it is not everything that is said, you know, should be ABC 1, 2, 3. You have to be able to think critically, and I believe that you have that ability to put persons to think, put on the thinking caps, and to think critically, and to bring, you know, the best of them. Webbo, I think that you have that ability. So, you know, I think that you are all-round person. Webbo. And back to the specific what you brought to the fore based on what the caller said. You know, I know that, you know, this radio station is an open radio station, open to any and anyone. Once they would come and they would, you know, be guided according to the rules and the regulation, and to respect themselves. And of course, once you respect yourself, you respect others. And I can sit here and say comfortably that you are open. Von Radio is open to any and anyone once they are desirous of coming and to do what is required. And I guess I would just leave it there.
You know, the current staff and I were reflecting on some of the work that we've done through the years, and you know, you look at some of this stuff, and as you said, Fifield, some of the things I didn't remember that we did, you know. But I was listening one of the flashbacks today with Edric when he was launching in 1992, and he gave a speech, and that was one of the early political speeches. And the interesting thing about it, as the caller had said, Edric was coming up against the government at the time. So he came here, he paid his money, and he gave his speech, right? In those days, a lot of people didn't know this. Ted Hopson had his party as well. Ted was not with the CCM at that time.
That's true.
Right? Ted was, I believe, at some point joined up with a fellow named Paul Lawrence, right? And they had their party. And Naya came on later on. Naya had his party.
Naya for good government.
Naya for government, not government. Naya for good government. That thing was.
This time still up there.
Really? No, it's still there.
It's still up in the.
Yes,
I believe it's still up in the complex.
Yeah.
Still at the complex. Now
Right,
move.
right. So Naya, you know, came on, and that election with Edric in 1992, Edric brought sort of the Virgin Islands style of campaigning and stuff like that to the arena. And when I listened to him that today, in that speech, which was about maybe 8-10 minutes long or so, he said at this critical juncture nearly 10 times. He you know, and he was known for that at this critical juncture.
his
Hence,
hallmark, yeah.
yes. And if he were here, you bet I would say, and Edric, who was your manager again that time? and Edric would say that there were moles planted in my campaign. But
he was a good sport, huh?
yeah, oh yeah. I told a fella, somebody the other day, in reference to other fellas these days, that Edric and I did 36 years. And everybody knows the Let's Talk program, and they know Edric and me always debating at it. And we never fall out. Never fall out.
Maturity.
And one of the things when you write, and I write my pages of life, it must be written in there. And one of the greatest honor that I had, to get Edric to admit he was talking nonsense.
How much time you did that? Once?
Well, once I think he admitted clearly, it's on tape. But other times, I was telling Glendale this week, remembering him the night when we were having this debate, and when I basically had, you know, basically asked Glendale certain questions and stumped him, so to speak, left it. Edric said, no, finish him off like how you just doing. But I say no. Anyway, I wanted to make the point also how these flashbacks are so important. And I want to, at this time, just for maybe a minute or verse, pay homage to this fellow, because this is one of my favorites, and we thank him for the contribution that he had made at that time. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
Memories of yesterday. Von Radio.
I was so relaxing, then I heard that knocking. And when I checked to see, I realized my friend Colin Archibald. He said, Blackat boy, you always watching TV. I'm sure you don't hear about our 10th anniversary. Then he started to grin, so me asked him what's the matter. He said the 10th anniversary, we gon' make it 10 times better. And he tell me 10 years, fun celebrating. 10 years, the Powerhouse of the Caribbean pumping. Super Saturday go be bad, we go bring up the small axe band. And then to cool down the heat, and then we going over Herbert Beach. Boom bam ba dang dang. Boom bam bam bam. Move man. Then I check for Webbo, don't know what go so. But it seems to me Webbo always busy. So I cite the next plan and I call up Scotchy. The Powerhouse pumping music and the tampon busy. But what thinks me is when the sugar girl Simona brought an invitation and invited me to come over. Now she tell me 10 years from celebrating. 10 years the Powerhouse of the Caribbean pumping. Super Saturday go be band, and we bring in a small axe band. And then you cool down the heat, and then we going over Herbert Beach, boom bam and 10th anniversary, 10 times bigger.
From the VON Music Machine.
Then I check for Webbo to see what was so. For it seems to me Webbo always busy. So I say the next plan and I call up Scotchy. The Powerhouse pumping music, but the damn line busy. But what convinced me is when the sugar girl Simona brought an invitation and invite me to come over. Now she tell me 10 years band celebrating. 10 years Powerhouse of the Caribbean pumping. Super Saturday go be band, and we bringing up Small-Axe band. And then to cool down the heat, and every kind of
Always satisfying. On radio, the Powerhouse.
Naya, you think your band could have played that good? You all know Naya had a band?
It sound better than that.
well, that's good. So maybe you could play that song, and the song will sound even better. No, but seriously, Blackat, made a solid contribution. He did a follow-up, I think, a little later on, but I somehow prefer this one because, and not only that, in different ways, Blackat has supported the station. Last year, when we had the Culturama, the 50th stuff, Blackat sponsored his partner Colin. So when you heard Colin here doing the drive time ship, which he used to be, it was sponsored by Blackat.
Yeah.
Right? So Blackat, does what the fellow caller said. He brought his money. Yeah.
That song, I'd like to say in 10 years, I think that it is very much relevant. And, in that song, listening to the lyrics, Webbo, apart from the melody, sweet and catchy, the lyrics, and it would bring back memories, and it would teach persons who didn't know, a little of the history. Because the song spoke to Small-Axe band coming up. And in my opinion, I believe that Small-Axe band had a thing, so to speak, with Von Radio. I can recall jams would have started here, Juve Morning Jam started here and going to Charlestown with Small-Axe band. He mentioned Colin Archibald. He also mentioned Scott G, because you were too busy. So he had to find another plan. They called up Scott G, and there are so many persons, I'm sure, who do not remember Scott G. I know of someone by the name of Scott G that used to work here. I think Scott G is for Gilbert.
Right.
And Scott G, Webbo, would have, if he is an ear and he's going to call the time right now, he would say, it's 46 minutes past 7. I asked him, Webbo, one time, why you call it time like that? And he said that an old lady called in one time, and he said, I don't like the way you talk. You talk too fast. I understand when you say the time. So he said to the lady, what you would like me to say exactly what the time is? And he would have said it, 46 minutes past 7. And the lady said, yes, that's the way. From since that, I don't know if you could remember that, Webbo. Every time he referred to the time, he called the time. We would say minutes to 8, minutes to 7. He would just call it straight, 47 minutes past 8. So this song, as I said, listening to the lyrics, apart from the melody, sweet melody, it brings back some memories. He called Your Name, You Are Still Here, Colin Archibald, who is not here with the radio station at present, nor Scott G. And I'm sure many of us, and many other persons may not have remembered that Scott G worked there.
And who else name he called?
He called another name,
But Colin, I think he called Simona. You called Simona?
That's what he
called
listen, the thing that you all don't say about me is how good I am at knowing what else people wanted to say. So he went all around both Webbo and Colin and Scott G and so, and then that's why I tell him, tell Brian who else you want to say.
I remember her too, Webbo.
Oh, you?
Webbo, one of the things that I could recall from that song, I'm not certain if that's where Von Radio got this tagline from. That's a monster jam. I'm not sure if that originated from that song, but
oh really? That came with us, man.
I know, but I'm not sure if the Blackat song was the one that it spin off from. But listening to that song, Webbo, one of the things about that song was in my mind at the time was the quality of the recording. That was some, 25, 26 years ago. When that song was released, back then, the recording was of a particular standard and quality that was kind of unusual from around these parts. Listening to it tonight, you would not realize that that song was recorded over 25 years ago. That was the level of the quality of the recording on that song. I think that when you put this song aside for a moment, that is what Van Radio has always been about, setting the bar, a certain quality and a certain standard. And when Blackat did that recording, Blackat fell in that same mode because the quality had to be of a certain standard. And like I said, listening to it 27 years later, it is still as crisp, as clear. You can hear everything that Blackat was saying as clear as it was released 27 years ago. And I think that that was the quality and the standard that Van Radio would have set.
Yeah, one of the things that we did at that time, in reference to what you're saying, and the Calypsonians will tell you that we told them, and we assisted as well, to get a nice clean recording, you know. Sometimes we even said to them, when you go to the band house, the band sometimes have a cassette deck there and so on. Try and get a good clean, because your presentation is important. And so some people had gotten upset, but they understood later on how important the quality of your work is. And that is some of the things and some of the reasons why. You have, even with that same song and that celebration, up to this day, one of the clowns is still vexed with us. You know, and but you know, you keep pushing on. And then I was just asking Melissa here, because we did one of those promos around that same time, and you know, I think that's one of the best promos that we did, you know, and so on and so forth. And up to this day, that clown, from that time until now, still trying to do things to her, just because of a little promo. Melissa, send a message and ask her what she has it under, so that I could play it for the fellas to hear a little later on. Yeah, so it's been basically interesting, but the way the community, you know, support and stuff like that, you don't have to go on any stage to say anything. It comes under the heading, if your work, let your work speak for you. If your work can speak for you, then you can just hush. So, like I said, and he said in the song, Scott G, you had the sugar girl Simona. You know, you listen, right? Colin, and you know, who else he mentioned in that song?
You.
Well, apart from me, you know. But so you had a lot of people through the years, right? He had the other song too, where he mentioned a lot of other people who had made contributions and so on and so forth. So persons ought to feel a part of it, and that's the thing about it. Everybody feels a part of it. Now, I think Fifield had mentioned some persons who will maybe criticize us or me or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, really? Because if you bring those people, they'll say, me say so. So those things I don't study with them. Yes.
One of the good things about Van Radio over the years, I feel that Van Radio has been able to capture, in my mind, the entire broad section of the community when it comes to what was important to its people. You have here on this radio a weekly educational program. You have weekly health programs, traffic. You have your community-based programs. You have religion. You have information, social, cultural, you name it. So I thought that One Radio is not just necessarily here to quote unquote play music or to talk. You have been able to capture the various.
Yeah, we talk, but
that gets results. Yeah.
Every aspect.
Those are not necessarily the all of what One Radio is all about. The reaching out for those various community program and initiatives, in my mind, has been the great addition to what makes One Radio this kind of community radio station. The intervention of the Newsline, One Radio Newsline and News, I thought that in my mind also took One Radio to a different level in terms of giving the general public what I call credible and reputable news information. And you have done that for many years. So when I look at the whole package, it shows that you have the various initiatives in terms of what you do for the community and the information that you give to the community, along with the other package. So I thought that when you wrap all of that together, it really captures the essence, and I think that it really captures, I believe, what the founding fathers was always thinking about. And the gentleman from Tartola spoke to that. The mission or the vision across, whether it's in Tartola or here in Nevis, has always been the same: to get this institution to a level that the community can respond to it. And I believe over 37 years it has in fact accomplished and achieved that. And
a good percentage of the population of St. Kitts and Nevis, the residents, have contributed either by a calling or being on in some way and stuff like that. And that's why I think people feel a part of it a lot. People even argue that sometimes people will say things in a negative way, but I find it so positive. Even Brand, the people argue that that's what helped Brand on his way. That's good, So if you know what the road is,
Well, I think they hinted to that, but when he was saying it, I smiled.
Okay.
Not just Brand.
And so, right, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but, it is, as I said, it is good, not just us, but institutions, organizations, that thing, and that's how you build a society.
Absolutely.
And people need to understand that. Once you have an opportunity, you're coming through life, what you contribute. You can contribute positively, negatively, or not at all. So at the end of the day is, what would you say in terms of the opportunity that you had in terms of your life? What did you do? Now we're here talking about Edric and Ted and those others and so on and so forth. That's what they did, right? And they've left it. Somebody else is carrying on and doing it and stuff like that. Unfortunately, this is my view. You have a number of people who aspire to get to certain positions, reach there, and at the end of the day, when you ask them, well, what did you achieve? Do for yourself. I was able to stop Webbo because he wanted so-and-so done and I cut cross him and undermine him. So you were able to do that. Well, what about you? You did anything for yourself? And they suddenly realized their time was up and they didn't achieve anything for themselves. And that's real.
Yes, certainly. well, that's the test of life, you know. How much can you inspire? How much can you inspire others? You know, at the end of the day, a lot of people see success in terms of financial foundations and so forth. But to me, I look at life as to how much you have really impact on others, you know, in a positive way. And you know, as for me, you know, I have, and I continue to teach a lot of people the trade of welding, and that's one of the things I'm so proud about. Even though most and all of them turn out to be my competitors, you know, I'm still very, and I always encourage them to go and set up. I never ever try to tell them, oh, you mean I teach you and you're going to leave me like that? And I always encourage people to go out, because really I teach them, but I only teach them certain things, you know. I always hold back certain things, so, and I continue to do it. And to be quite honest with you, you know, that's one thing I'm happy about, you know, that I have taught, you know, so many people, and continue to, and never actually ask for any payment. And here am I sounding like I'm putting a chip on my shoulder, but
but you should.
Just that type of example I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Instead of, you know, okay, I have the nicest car, I have the nicest home, you know, what makes me feel good that I have signed loans for people to go and study. I have taught people the trade of metalworks and welding, and people have actually bloomed, you know, from that, from my contribution in small contribution, I suppose, and that's what made me proud, to be quite honest.
But I'll tell you something too, and now you can say whether or not you agree with me. We've just like the caller indicated, with everybody, we give everybody the opportunity. And there's not a lot of people in those days. First of all, with Ted and Edric, and so when we started the show, not a lot of people could have said politics and get away with it. Said the word politics and get away with it. They were ostracized. People will say, what are you talking about? That was real. The second thing is that people like to scorn certain people. And not everybody would have given Naya the opportunity either on the talk show.
I felt that.
I'm telling you.
Well, I felt that at the time, Webbo, and I must tip my hat to you too, because I'm sure even, you know, one or two people who were sitting at the time was, you know, questioning.
Or 3 or 4, but no more.
Questioning this or that, you know. But you know, it to me it was a great opportunity, and it continued to be a good opportunity. And you know, throughout the years, so many people have said to me, "Oh, Naya, what man like you doing on the show?" But it never really stopped me, really, because the purpose is almost very personal, and it's almost like contributing to society and the development in a positive way of society, I hope. And I obviously can spread my philosophy and my doctrine, you know, here on radio, which I think is a good one. You know, it's a one of growth and positiveness. And so, again, I thank you for the opportunity, because it has, you know, it has in some way transformed my outlook towards life and people's outlook towards me, I suppose. Because I'm kind of introvert, yes, but I think I can reach you sometime.
Yeah, but I can lend you guys something to use when people come with those things, you know. Somebody telling me something one day, and I stand and listen, because you know I'm a good listener, consummate listener. And then when they were finished, they say, yeah, but there's only one problem with what you just said. They say, well, they say, I didn't ask you nothing. And that took care of that. Now, I told you all already how good my guys are. So I was telling you about this thing which I couldn't find. Here it is. I thought you. Okay, I got it.
Reliable news.
That don't look like it. Anyway, guys, go ahead. Let me get it sorted out.
Well, I think Naya touched on something here, which I alluded to perhaps earlier, where Naya used his own personal experience and he personalized it to himself in terms of him allowed to quote unquote spread his own doctrine. And I believe, Webbo, that in my mind what the visionaries of this institution sought to be able to capture, where individually it doesn't really matter who you are, what your background is, it doesn't really matter your public. For 37 years it has lived up to the expectation and is doing a remarkable job of it.
A fella met me about a year or two ago, and you know, this one meant a lot to me because he said to me, I really want to tell you that you guys done a great job. He said, full disclosure, I was one who doubted that you guys could do it. And you know why it meant so much to me? Because he was right. Because he did things to make sure that we couldn't make it. You know, and so that meant a lot. Now here's this stuff I was talking about. This was one of the promos we did for the 10th anniversary celebration.
The greatest event of the 20th century is now on the calendar, and you must be there.
Culturama.
Can't make the grade.
Solar Eclipse.
Gone already.
Carnival.
Not even close.
Music Festival.
Get serious, baby. It's the Caribbean's Powerhouse 10th anniversary celebrations, June 18th to June 21st.
10th anniversary, 10 times better.
10th anniversary, 10 times better.
Wait, so the
Good evening, thank you for holding.
Hello, good evening, Webbo, and your guest.
Good evening.
Let me just turn on this thing. I too would like to chime in and about Van Radio. I'm really very proud of Van Radio. One of the reasons is because it's in my village. You know, it's like a stone throw away from where I live. Van Radio have given people like me and many others an opportunity to vent and put our ideas out there and speak out what's on our mind and stuff like that. If it wasn't for Van Radio, we wouldn't have been able to do all of that. So, you know, I would like to say thanks to the Herbert family, Merritt Herbert, who's now deceased. Thanks to him and his family. Thanks to Webbo. Webbo's been the one and only manager ever since up to this present day, and I think he's doing a really good job. And one of the things that we don't speak about too is that Van Radio hire a whole lot of people over the years. I mean, a lot of people has come and gone and Van Radio is still there. So they provide employment for a lot of people over the years. My daughter, for instance, Daniela, out of 6 farm, I think Van Radio was the first place she applied for a job. And Van Radio hired her just like that. I guess they was impressed with her voice and all of that, and they hired her as a news reader. I don't know if that's the correct term, but then she went on to do like other stuff. She's reporting. She do the
press conference.
The premiers what do you call it? Press conference.
Yes.
Yeah, she do all that. She's done she get an opportunity to do a little bit of journalism and stuff like that. And now that she went off to a university, Van Radio have left the doors open for her. So every time she go and she come back, she have a place at Van Radio. And, you know, Webbo, I personally would like to say thank you for that. Not a whole lot of people is sensitive like that, you know, to give people opportunities like that. So, Webbo, on behalf of my family, I say thank you, man, and big up to Van Radio. Van Radio is really an ace in Nevis. Again, thank you. I would like to pay tribute at this time to not to Edric, but to Naya. Naya is a great guy, you know. Naya is a great guy. Naya is a guy who wear a lot of hats. Naya is a welder. Naya is a musician. Naya is a politician. I remember when Naya came out with his band, and Webbo, you asked Naya a while ago if he could play the Blackat song better. Naya band didn't play those kind of music, you know. Naya band wasn't a calypso band. Naya band was strictly a reggae band, and they did a lot of their own material. Naya wrote some of his own songs, and I remember when they made the debut on the waterfront one Saturday afternoon, Naya did a lot of his own original material, and a few Bob Marley in between, you know. It was a great outing. I was there on a Saturday afternoon on the waterfront. It was a great time. And what a lot of people don't know as well, apart from the welding and the politics and he was also a host on that same show, because I think he would have hosted that same Let's Talk a couple of times. You know, he made his contribution to the heavyweights. And what a lot of people don't know is that Naya was a sailor. Naya used to sail. I remember when I was living in Central Stations one time, I used to play in a band down there, and I came out on the street to bust a little lime, and who I see coming up the street? Naya and his father, Ron Libert. They just came in. Ron Libert used to build boats, and yes. Naya, they came down to Stacia on a trip, selling stuff. They had sheep, goats, all kind of stuff, provisions and pumpkins and all kind of stuff. They were doing trade. So Naya is also a good businessman. So I would like to, big up Naya, man, you know. Sometimes we wait until people dead and gone in the grave and they can't hear nothing, they can't see nothing to pick them up and pay tribute to them. So I'm paying tribute to Naya right now.
Thank you so much.
Naya, more power to you, man. I'll continue to listen. Thanks, Webbo.
All right, thank you very much. So in other words, Naya used to sell all animals. Oh, he gone. He used to sell all animals. He said sheep, goat, and so.
Yeah, we used to at one point move agriculture, livestock, and products from Nevis. You know, Nevis was once upon a time a food basket, and lots of things used to happen in Nevis. I don't know why it does not anymore, but we used to move a lot of animals, a lot of mangoes, avocados, to St. Martin's, Stacia, and them places.
You don't know why it don't happen no more? That's what you said?
No, I'm not too sure why it doesn't happen anymore.
You would like me to tell you?
I've been trying to figure it out for the last...
You would like me to tell you,
I became an adult.
Walk with me. You would like me to tell you why they don't move them no more?
Yes.
Because they're not there.
Well, at least, you know, as you start, other questions follow.
Okay. So the thing, I queued it up again, and then you tell me, I think Brand was saying something about it, but this is the one where the clown is still upset about it.
After all this time?
After all these years. He used a lot of resources that it was not his to try and spite us, and he failed. Listen.
The year 1998.
The greatest event of the 20th century is now on the calendar, and you must be there.
Culturama.
Can't make the grade.
Solar Eclipse.
Gone already.
Carnival.
Not even close.
Music Festival.
Get serious, baby. It's the Caribbean's Powerhouse 10th anniversary celebrations, June 18th to June 21st.
10th anniversary, 10 times better.
10th anniversary, 10 times better.
So that's what used to get them upset.
That child is probably now a big, grown, wonderful female.
And probably wouldn't even know that it was them. But that's the kind of work that we do. Did and still we do all the time. Right? The guys have creativity, originality, and that gets the clowns upset. Yeah, for you.
Yeah, well, but I just want to kind of piggyback on what the caller would have said, and he's so right. You know, one of the things that we often...
Oh, you never even tell me.
We often overlook, Webbo, is the employment that video and radio would have provided for many persons over the years, and not just employment, but the avenue for growth and upward mobility, the avenue for public speaking. Naya would have indicated earlier tonight that he's somewhat of an introvert, and you know, One Radio, you know, exposes persons, you know, to become, for want of a better term, more brave, you know, more eloquent, and to reach persons and also to create a livelihood for them. So I just want to say, Webbo, that that caller, you know, is indeed correct in his summary of One Radio.
Well, I think what the caller highlighted, in my mind, is extremely important, because if you really trace the history and the path of many of those persons who came through One Radio, you would realize that the majority of them continue to make significant contribution, not only to St. Kitts and Nevis, but on a global stage. And I believe that certainly has to have been one of the contributing philosophy of One Radio. He spoke about Naya and the many attributes that Naya brought to the table and continue to bring to the table. I believe that in my mind continued to be one of the hallmarks, so to speak, of the remarkable leadership here at One Radio, where the manager for the last 37 years continued to be able to recognize good talent. I think that Webbo continued to be able to seek out persons who are quote-unquote ordinary folk who continue to do extraordinary things. And I think that is, in my mind, a characteristic and a feature of what has been able to keep One Radio going after all this time. 37 years in any business, in an environment, quote-unquote, that is often hostile, and continue to advance and continue to stay ahead of the game. There has to be something special. There has to be something extraordinary about what the vision was and what the vision continued to be. So I think that while the caller highlighted Naya, and he is so right, and I know that Naya is even a lot more than that, I feel that it goes back to what I said earlier. This is a platform where anyone can come once they are willing to follow and abide by the rules, because any organization without any rules is going to end in confusion and chaos. And I believe that those of us who have come, the rules are very simple: A, B, C, and D. And if you are willing to do E, then we have a problem. And I believe that over the years, once you have been able to stay on that track, from Ted Hopson come all the way down to Roger and Spencer, once you are able to, and those who are not able to follow those rules and guidelines, I believe that Webbo have the sign here that speak to them. But Webbo, I think a lot of the credit certainly has gone to the visionaries. This was, in my mind, a visionary and a bold and a courageous move at the time. And I feel that the island and the Federation, and I would even dare say the entire Caribbean, have benefited from that vision and continue to benefit from what ordinary folk have been able to do when it comes to doing extraordinary things.
No, we've had some great people. And again, like I say, it's not the normal speech where you get up and you say it. This is what the evidence shows in the work that they do. Friend and foe alike would say that, right? We got some great talent. They put in the good work. And the most important thing is to show and to have confidence in them, right? The gentleman who spoke earlier about, for instance, Donella, she she's not now the latest, because we've gotten one or two young persons since that as well, who are doing real great, right? And you spot the talent and you believe in them, because what our people lack a lot, even the adults, is self-confidence, right? I see that weakness, and you don't worry if you're doing a work or you're doing something and you hear the critics are saying how you're boasting. Continue to be boasting. What happened is they don't like the confidence that you're showing in yourself, and because they realize you probably likely will succeed, and they don't want that. So that's what the folks have. They got the talent. You put the the faith and the trust in them, and they spell confidence. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to be 100% right away. You mightn't even get to 100%, but 90% is an A.
Yep.
Right? And it's the same thing with a talk show. The gentleman was speaking about Naya. We spotted Fifield. We brought him in. What is the evidence showing? He's doing a good work so far. But everybody, I just keep encouraging ourselves. You're not there yet. And don't end up with a lot of folks, sometimes only me can say that. Don't end up like those politicians. They get there and then they figure they know everything and do everything and stuff like that and so on. No, you're not there yet. Right? So I think that is what my opinion is of the people who come through. Brand may not like me saying this, but that's okay, because I normally would say sometimes people will give me an opportunity to speak at a forum or something, and I'll begin by saying I find these people are courageous. And they will say, why? I said, because I asked them, what should I speak about? And they said, well, choose any topic you. I said, you sure? Because I have a history of telling the truth, you know. So you sure you want me to talk? Now, when Brand came here now, let's just say that Brand was not as confident as he is now. You know? He's come true.
All of us.
Yeah, so, and if I'm to say this with the Premier, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and he came through, and I've heard him say this publicly, so he can't now go and refute it. The Premier have told me, and he has said publicly, he said, notwithstanding he's a brilliant guy, right? I was listening a clip, by the way, with Edric, and Edric was talking about his famous quote that the 113 is constitutionally unconstitutional. And apparently it was those days when Mr. Brantley was a member of the heavyweight. Yeah. And I heard Edric in the background saying, I can't believe that a brilliant fellow like Mark can't understand this. So I was saying that Mr. Brantley, he came here, he had just started his sojourn as a lawyer, maybe a few years or whatever. And he has said that right on this talk show is where he developed his skill to talk on his feet, to be sharp on his feet, because he was among his seniors, including myself and Edric and Ted Hopson and stuff like that, and we really hammered him. That's how I know the fellow was good, because we really put some pressure on him and he was able to hold his own. But so he would admit he was not always that sharp on his feet, but he was able to develop that while he was here among us. So, I am very pleased and proud of the folks who have come through. I mentioned the late Hastings Daniel. I also heard a clip the other day being played back with Hastings, and Hastings was making some suggestions that what we should be doing as a society and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. So when I hear people say that we one-sided in this, pure stupidness, the evidence does not show that. People will say things, and so all these things are distractions, right? So I will always tell my folks, focus on what you're doing. You concentrate on that. And all these people have been young people coming through and doing a mighty work. And just the last point, Brian, I'll let you go now. I mentioned Fifield earlier. Keep your eyes on him and keep listening, huh? That's all I'll say for now. Yeah, Brian.
Well, I think you're correct. When I came, it's no secret, by my nature, quiet, reserved. But I think that Van Radio has certainly allowed me to grow and to blossom and flourish. I've sat around this men like Ted and Edric, Naya. It has allowed me to flourish and develop. I think the previous caller spoke about his own daughter, and I think that the opportunity that you allow here at Van Radio is all about developing people, allowing people to perhaps stumble every now and then, but once you stumble, you don't stay down. You encourage them to pick themselves up and dust themselves off and continue to move. So I think that the opportunity here has certainly been one where I have been able to develop.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to come back to you. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Brother Webbo, is Brother Brand soon leave there?
If Brother Brand...
If he soon leave in the station, right?
You won't talk with him?
No, I want to say this publicly on the air. Quickly. I was up Nevis, and I in my mind saying that he in charge of public work and situation. I think his government need to watch at downtown fair and try to reclaim the land and make down the bigger. That's my idea at all the time. Fill in by the WAP area and look at it properly. I think make the area big. That's my thing to him and his party. And my friend, I am a part of your family station. Them either be on Z-Rod, either be on CCR, either be on all ZBVI also. So I'm a family of your station. My name is Nelson Hall, better known as Jojak. So I'm not a stranger to the area. Thank you.
Okay, thanks much. Brian.
Yeah, I take the note of what the caller indicated. But I was saying, Webbo, that we come here and we are given that opportunity to develop and flourish. One of the persons as well who I often think about continue to be of Van Radio fame is also the Honorable Eric Evelyn. If my memory serves me right, and Webber, you can correct me, I believe that he was one of the individuals who would have, in the initial stage in terms of the news here at Van Radio.
Yeah, Eric is, I claim Eric.
You claim?
Yeah, in terms of his development, and he says it too, so that's why I'm able to say it. There's a little story, as Edric would say, concerning Eric. Eric started out here doing the
agriculture.
Yeah, on the farm.
On the
farm program,
yeah.
right? He obviously, he was working for government in the
Yes.
agriculture department.
Yes.
And I saw the talent in Eric. So I gave him the on the farm program to do. Did an excellent job. And then I said to the then premier, the late Van Semery, I said, they were struggling with the press and public relations department, what people now popularly call NTV. They were struggling with that. So I said to him, why don't you put Eric there to help the department, because he's that good, he can do it and stuff like that. And as usual, I don't know why people don't study me. He didn't study me. right? The premiere. So I leave it alone. Then about a year or two later, because you know when we started first, I think Mr. Brand, you had alluded to that. We didn't start with the news. We were preparing.
I think it started with the Newsline or something, News Minute or something like that.
We do community calendar and so on, but we started the news as it is now, the full 3 newscasts and so on and so on. So we did that. And then I put Eric to be one of the anchors.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evening news and stuff like that, and the morning report and stuff like that, right? So Eric became solid like Jennings and Walter Conkright and those people and stuff like that. And then Eric came to me one day and he said that, called me and he said he wanted to speak with me, talk to me. I said, okay. You know, he's working for government in the day, so I accommodate him in the evening, in the afternoon when he had finished work. So he told me he wanted to something because he had a decision to make. And I asked him what it was. He said, well, the premier, the same premier, had called him and tell him he's going to transfer him to the public relations department. Because he now hears Eric, right? There's the anchor. Why does everybody always want what I have? So Eric said to me, come to, if you know Eric when he talking, I come to ask you if you think he might be a little thing.
So like a
yeah. So because I tell him that me down there with Van, and once he cause anything, I'm not going. So you know me, diplomatic. I said, well, you might be. He said, well, that's all I want to know. Eric went back and he tell him, I don't know how he told him, but the bottom line tell him he's not going. He working with me. And he has done that up to this day.
He's still
up to this day, right? So you see the thing in these guys. He's a good thing. And if I ever hear that Eric is working against me, I will have to see the evidence of that, because we been working together, you know. Well, most of my guys, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get 100%. So, and you're talking about opportunity. So I just wanted to say here, Brian, I tell my folks all the time, and I won't tell the general public in my, having experienced certain things, don't let anyone fool you. Opportunity is the most important thing. That is why you will find some people who mean no good will try and deny you the opportunity. Don't let anybody fool you. The opportunity. Sometimes people will tell me, oh, well, they want a job, maybe let's say in the bank, but they only have, this position and I better qualify. I said, listen to me, get inside there. Get in. And once you're in there, and they see what you can do and stuff like that, the opportunity is what is important. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let them fool you. The most important thing is the opportunity. When you get the opportunity, what you do with it is what matters. Brand, sorry, go ahead.
It's been a long time. Well, first, I want to thank the caller. I know him very well for speaking of, in such ways about me, really. And again, this has been such a journey where you become very much well known, and it seems like my voice gives me away pretty easily. Everywhere I go, people will recognize this voice. And even in the sister islands, you say something and people say, oh, you be on radio. So yes, Webbo, the opportunity, and then of course, and I have a way to look, a kind of way, as I view life, and I always wanted to communicate that kind of thing, speaking up for those who doesn't have a voice or seems to don't have a voice, and kind of, fighting for this classless society, which some people say it's not possible, and trying to, see and promote that equal and this equality in society, and trying to have, sometimes an impartial view about the social and political issues. And so I think I have developed, that type of thing about me, and the public get to know about that, and it's good sometimes. And I think Bob Von Wade, you have really offered me a great opportunity as a person who is, I would say, quiet and introvert, and really the people doesn't have to know everything about me until Webbo bring me on this radio station, and then people start to know things that they shouldn't know. But it's all good things anyway. So I sometimes feel good about it. But Von Wade, you have created great opportunities, and I always try to tell people to try and be as much as they can, because I grew up in a kind of household. I was all over the place by the time I'm 10 years old and 12 years old, doing things, working a full work day and things like that, and still going to school. And so I always encourage people to try and put their dreams to reality and be focused about things. There is that seriousness about life as it dawns in me. And being an independent-minded person, I never really apply for a job because I feel like I always been fortunate to be able to paddle my way through and deal with various endeavors and so forth. As I said to someone the other day, look, most of the things I wanted to do in life I've done, even though a lot of people don't know all the things I've done, and being a speaker here on Von Radio, have basically put the icing on the cake, because I communicate with so many people about this program, and my point of view and so forth. I feel like sometimes I probably would be a better politician now than I was in 1997. And so yes, it does create an opportunity. It does create an opportunity to spread your doctrine and to speak your mind, and I like that, because I'm not always, that everyday person with everyday point of view. I must admit, a kind of a rebel because of the way, to me, the earth runs. And I think to speak the truth sometimes it's sometimes offensive, but you still have to do it. And I think I use this opportunity here on Von Radio to do that, and with the consequences. And because of that, sometimes life is maybe a little more difficult, but it looks like that's the way it's supposed to be. And I enjoy it tremendously. I enjoy when I came here. I joined this program with Ted Hopson QC, with the Observer, Kenneth Williams, Mr. Stanley, pretty heavyweights, and I guess I was looked at as, not so much of a heavyweight financially and otherwise, but nobody knows that about me anyway. But it was something that I behold, because, as I say, I was able from day one to spread my doctrine and speak to what I believe in, and I continue to do that. And it's been a great journey, and I hope to continue it, really. Every opportunity I get to come, I always come. I realize in my, if you want to look at a senior position now, it looks like I'm the oldest on the show, and one time I was the youngest, and so, yes, I feed off the vibes of people a lot, but I know what I'm on about, and I would continue to be that person all the time, which is seeing the equality in humanity and trying to promote that type of stuff. I feel the youngest one on the program, and sometimes I feel you have political ambitions, I'm not too sure if I'm correct, but you got such qualities, I suppose, and I'm sure this program is going to, help you along that path if that's the way you want to go, because of course every Tuesday night you come, you promulgate your issues and you speak your point of view on issues. I suppose you can't cut across too much if you want to be treated preferably. You got to be careful sometimes. Consequences are there, and you must be able to deal with them. You know what I mean? And as I said, what it comes down to is how much you can positively impact on people's life, positively impact on the society, and that's what means a lot to me. So I wish you can be that type of politician if you're going to be a politician.
Who could be a politician?
Not a politician, but that type of politician.
Good evening, thank you for holding.
Yeah, with Naya, not just Naya, but yourself. You spoke of Mr. Fifield earlier. You said, look out for Mr. Fifield because he's going places. I totally agree with you because
okay, walk with me. If you agree with me, where is he going?
To the top.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I remember seeing him for the first time hosting, I think it was Poets in the Square, and he, when I see him, at the podium, I'm going to myself, wow, okay, guy from Zion, let me see how he's going to carry. And he did a great job, Poets in the Square, and then he also hosts the Christmas Delight in the same square, and I heard him hosting, I think was a graduation, and so, I think he really has potential. People think that getting up on a stage with a mic in your hand is an easy task. It's not an easy task. I've played in a lot of bands, and I know when you're on the stage and you got the mic in your hand and you see all them little beady eyes down in the audience looking up at you, it puts some kind of fear in you. So you have to have a lot of guts. You have to have really the stick-to-itiveness to stay on the stage and do a good job. And I think Mr. Fifield has exactly that. He's doing a good job. He makes some good points on your show. And last year when they had the Legend show.
Legends, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one who was organizing all the practices. He lays with all the calypsonians and the musicians and the background vocals, which I was a part of. He did an excellent job. His communicating skills is very, very on point. He knows how to get people to do what he wants them to do. I don't think the show would have been the big success it was if it wasn't for Mr. Fifield. Mr. Fifield, when I got there, I saw Mr. Fifield was there at the gate doing his thing, making sure that everything was running smooth. So yes, Mr. Fifield is definitely heading to the top. So Mr. Fifield, just a word of encouragement, don't give up. You got what it takes, okay?
Thank you.
You have a good evening.
Okay. He just described what it means to be a member of the Powerhouse team. Right, we do the work, and we to let people evaluate it and talk and stuff like that. So again, we're just expressing our appreciation, for everybody who did some work. Let's go back to the line. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Hello. Good evening.
You're on the air. Good evening. Go ahead.
I have a question to ask, Mr. Webbo.
What work with me. What you have to do is turn your radio or whatever it is down and speak to me through the phone. You'll hear us.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're on the air. Could you go ahead?
What are the three most important words that bring this M, beginning with M, that brings peace to a person?
Why don't you go over that again?
What are the three most important words that beginning with M, that brings peace to a person?
Okay, I am going to Is it, the question is, what are the three most important words beginning with M that bring
Yeah.
peace to a person?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to try and then I'll let the other fellas try. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Melissa, Marvin, and the other M. Correct?
Hello?
You didn't
I
hear
didn't
my...
hear that.
The three M's
Yeah.
that bring peace to a person.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, Marvin, and the other M.
You're wrong.
Okay, well, 5 for you.
To think on my feet.
If you don't know, you don't know. Don't think
Yeah,
Naya.
simply you know, you know.
Naya.
That's
Most, many, and much.
Okay, Bran.
Most, many, and much?
Yes.
Wrong.
Bran.
I would say maturity, melody, and
Wrong.
Okay. Okay, well, let's get the right.
The right is mind, mouth, and money.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. That's according to him. I know about the three M's.
Here at Van.
Yes.
Mount, mind, and money.
Interesting.
Okay.
Webbo, I wanted to chime in here, Webbo, to speak, to the topic that we are really on, the Von Radio, celebrating the 37th anniversary. And I want to say, Webbo, that I believe that, the being here for 37 years, is not an easy feat. You would have, I believe, looked at your programming, and I believe that you would have done some strategic work in terms of the timing of when you host certain programs, certain events, and I think that it's time we look at for example, the Caribbean Drive. We look at the News Minute. You will look at the major news, the timing of it and stuff like that. We also look at the involvement. The Caribbean's Powerhouse, has a way of getting people involved. We look at the Christmas parties, that has now become a staple. Persons, parents, children, look forward for this type of stuff annually. We also look at the playground, and I'm telling you, Webbo, if you don't believe me, just try it, just for a joke, not to have the playground, one time.
Try just for a joke.
Yeah, just for a joke. Not to have the playground, and you would understand, how persons look forward to call in, to interact, to win various prizes and stuff like that. So it's really commendable, the thought process that goes into it, and anything that one does, and they're going to have involvement of persons. When we look at it, no man could be an island, and we cannot do much to our existence if we are alone. Hence, we must have, the camaraderie, the involvement, persons, because, of course, I believe that one is, people-oriented, and you are doing such a good job in terms of getting people. How, you just have this magical way, maybe if I can put it this way, this magnetic pull, this magnetic feel in terms of getting persons to cooperate, getting persons, to contribute in whatever way, bringing people together. And I believe that this is one of the hallmarks of Von Radio. And again, I would like to, as I indicated last week, not the additional table, but to take out the multiplication table, just to borrow a phrase from you, Mr. Herbert, and use the multiplication table to acts, that one be celebrated, even to reach a century and beyond. By that time, I guess, someone else would be, other persons would be sitting in these seats. But
by that time, you guess that you're not guessing about that. That's the inevitable, and long before that, anyway. That's what the reality is. But I understand what you're saying. Like I said, it is something that I encourage people. And opportunity is very important. Have confidence in yourself, right? And find ways to, think the negativity. I'm not saying do not accept criticism,
sure,
because that's good and healthy. But if you find that it is not really healthy criticism, right? You find something else to do. As I said, and I was very serious about it. Sometimes I would go and I listen up to a while, and then I say, but I didn't ask you nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you have to also protect yourself. You don't let people just, take advantage of you. Why do people try and do me that all the time? But sometimes I resist. So I encourage people, right? And encourage us as a people to believe in yourself. Have confidence. People will always laugh at you and stuff like that and so on, right? But have confidence in yourself and take advantage of whatever opportunity that you have. I see people get opportunity and all they do is just criticize and stuff like that and then wonder how somebody else get through. It's the same sort of opportunity that they made use of, right? The caller who called and talk about the Legend show last year, right? And Fifield and Melissa and company, they is who ran the thing, right? I gave my guidance and stuff like that, but see, the caller was able to say it's Fifield he saw, and Melissa was there, and then the other members of staff and so on, and all those Calypsonians. I never see cooperation like that. Them fellas put themselves together, and all they said to me, "Webbo, working with you," and that's how the thing was done. When you see you cooperate together, things are easy. And I must say a very big thank you to the band, Casanova, Wes, and the fellas. I was dealing with Wes all the time with everything, and when I deal with Wes go on, he deal with the fellas. People told me that I wasn't gonna get it, we weren't gonna get it do with the Casanova band. And I talk with Wes and them fellas come through. And I dare say, looking forward to it again, all them fellas, Chevy, every time Chevy see me, when we gonna, Chevy, look, Chevy is something else, right? Chevy had more fans than everybody else.
But he was one of the best on the night.
Chevy?
Yeah.
Chevy's great. When you look at them fellas who did that show, right?
Zombai.
Yeah,
Granny.
One of the reasons why, and I keep telling them, that I don't mind saying things. You don't have to double check and fact check what I say. One of the things that I was really upset about is that Bahaulan and company, they went to the authorities and told them they want a Legend, keeping sure. And the guy had the audacity to tell them fellas nobody want to hear them. And they get me vexed, and when I vex,
you prove them wrong.
Oh yeah. So that's what we did, and we had a meeting with the same Eric, the Minister of Culture, and I said, Eric, work with me, work with the fellas and them. That's how the thing got done. And contrary to the others who didn't want it done and were undermining, I know once I had the minister with us, Eric, he was going to come through, and Eric put his full support behind it. And that's how it worked. And the other person who had all that authority, who in the first instance get it from Eric, they keep undermining and felt bad and so on until when the thing finished. So when you hear me talking about working with people and working with, I know what I'm talking about. Right? So it's still not too late for the persons who are concerned to look after the fellas and them. Chevy and Bingy and Zumba and all them fellas are interested in contributing. But we made a commitment that we were going to do the show last year to prove that it can be done. We did that. And we said we weren't going to do it again. But we'll support anybody who does it. But it needs to be done. Is a community, a society, and we all must look out for one another and not just go and undermine everything and be glorious and joyful when it fails. Because who does it benefit? For you to go and say, oh, then I had none and I stop it. It makes no sense.
The show was a main feature of the Culturama.
Yeah, it was a good show.
And I don't understand why anyone would want to stop it. And not to have it again, because to me, we need fixtures. We need things happening for the Culturama. And paying that tribute is important too.
Exactly.
You know, it's paying that tribute to the elder folks, you know, and of course people are inspired, you know, by the elder folks. So I can see, yes, we do suffer from that type of stuff, Webbo.
I don't this is the first time I can remember on the show I tell you what to say. So I would like you to tell Brand to see that it get done. Because the truth is, he is one of the heavyweights in the country. So I want you to tell him.
Mr. Brand is a good thing to make.
Well, no, I recognize. But listen, to see guys like Flamingo, who have been, you know, off the scene for a while, and Flamingo made the effort, even in his
effort. You call it?
Well, yeah, it was a A+ effort.
Flamingo had me frightened. I thought the boy was going to... I thought the boy was going to get up out of the train.
You know, I mean, even in his circumstances and his challenges, to see Flamingo were able to... it was inspiring, Webbo. I think tonight we have sat around and we have sought to celebrate the legacy of Van. The remarkable things that Van Wager has been able to...
but don't get back from the thing when I just
I wrote it down.
You wrote it down? Oh, okay. Because Eric is one of your colleagues.
Yes.
And then you have the Premier and others. So make something happen.
I wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
I think we should be encouraging those guys to keep writing, continue writing material. Yeah. Why not? You know, I mean, at what age should you stop?
And Bingy was wrought for something, and Bingy went up there and sing a song which he didn't practice. Because he wanted to make a statement.
No, Bingy was excellent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Bingy was the best. Actually.
Yeah, well, you know.
I mean, the kingship. He shows the kingship to me, you know, on that night. You know, when you can go up and just sing without music. You know, he was seriously within the spirit of a king. You know, a Calypso king.
And that what you should do, you should encourage, because when you have the national resources, Mr. Brand and company, you must not let one fella, for his own personal dislike and stuff like that, use it to retard the progress of the whole nation.
Yes, I agree.
Serious. We need fixtures for the Culturama and such, and you know, say it goes a long way. It goes a long way, because I think the show last year was not a part of the program, right? Of the Culturama program.
No, it wasn't official. No,
it wasn't a part of the official program. But whether or not, you know, it contributes to the season, the season, what we call Culturama season. You know, it's almost like a pre-event, and to me, why not encourage that? More is more. It's a festive occasion. It doesn't have to be, you know, measured within those compressed between those 7 nights or whatever the program runs for. You know, I think these guys should be encouraged to continue writing songs.
It's the same thing that happened with the string band competition. You know, I warned them, don't let the string band die. They told me foolishness about they wasn't bringing in no money. I said, but a lot of these shows them don't bring in the money. The string band fellas and them what think now they wait till the thing dead and safe now they could get it back up and stuff like that, right? So when you Mr. Brand and company are in those positions, right, you don't allow people to do those things to satisfy their own personal bad agenda. Right? You do what Eric did. You know, you have that particular thing, you put the support and the public benefit. People have been asking us already if we're doing the show again. I said we weren't going to do it. But I would like somebody to be done.
Yeah.
Take care of Chevy and Bingy and Zumba and all these fellas. Them fellas young and strong still. And then here Zumba said them young fellas they can't handle it. They can't. Okay, who's got the last word?
Webbo, I just want to say thanks to the caller and for having the confidence and speak so well of me. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. And of course, if there's criticism, I would accept and try to move on and be a better person. So I just want to say thanks again, Webbo. And Webbo, one thing, Webbo, I think that taking that show to the countryside, I think, was a plus in my opinion. Instead of having it in Charlestown, in the village or the cultural complex, I think the ambience and the atmosphere, I think, gave rise to the success of the show also.
Yeah, let me quickly pay homage to Sean for what it is, 869 or 869?
869.
869. 869. Right. And they accommodated, they contributed heavily also, providing the place and other support to make sure that the show came off. And so that is what it was all about. And Sean and his people, they are good folks. They do a lot of stuff up there. And they do it all with promoting and advancing Nevis. So we encourage people to go and support them as well. So Sean, wherever you are, hello, and thanks for the support and all that, right? So, Naya, you wanted to finish up?
Not necessarily in an absolute way, but just to say, let's come together as an island, and events like Culturama, let's just give it all and make it big and prosperous and happy again. This Nevis is for us, and we are for Nevis. So I can't understand these impediments that people try to formulate, to prevent good things to happen from happening here in Nevis. So let's just take a different point of view and make it happen.
That's the last word. This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Join Keith Scarborough on Thursday evening for Government at Work, a place where you can spend all of your evenings right here in the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community. Thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertiser.